Hello and good afternoon from Rome Fiumicino International Airport. Today, for the first time ever in my life, I'm going to be testing out ITA Airways on a flight from Rome on over to the Tunisian capital of Tunis. I will be taking this short flight in economy class and it's going to be flown aboard an Airbus 320. ITA Airways operates solely out of Terminal 1 in terms of where you've got to go through security, check-in and all that kind of stuff over here at this airport. But the weird thing about my experience today is that I've now held ITA Airways Elite Plus status for, I want to say, going on 3 years now, basically since the airline started. But until today, I'd never actually flown on ITA Airways. Luckily, having that status means even though I'm flying in economy class, I'll have access to the ITA Airways lounge, as well as a few other premium facilities here at the airport. So let's head over through the security line and see what the ITA Airways economy class experience is like. Now I am already checked in, but to check in, you have those counters just like that. And my oh my, the fast track security experience over here, at least today, is just amazing. In under 2 minutes, I made it from the security gate all the way through security, and now I've just got to go through the giant duty-free area, and then we can check out the ITA Airways lounge. There is more than one ITA Airways lounge over at Fiumicino Airport, but since my flight to Tunisia will be to a non-Schengen destination, I will have to go through border control, and then I'll check out the non-Schengen area lounge, which supposedly is a little bit nicer than the Schengen lounge. Of course, that means yet another duty-free experience, but I think I'll just walk through. And there is even a third duty-free that you must go through to get over to the E-gates where my flight will be departing from. That's got to be some kind of record. That's probably the real reason that you're watching this video, right? I made it through 3 duty-frees without even considering buying anything. And it's the Piazza di Spagna lounge, or the Plaza of Spain lounge, which happens to just be right here. My first time over here, and it's looking pretty nice. So in terms of food, you've got a few pasta options, some cold cuts on the other side there, salad, which looks quite good, and on the other side, some pizzas. Plus, this lounge happens to have a full stock bar with a barista on hand. There's nothing really quite like drinking a coffee when in Italy, and they do a good one here. But what they also do a really great job at in this lounge is taking away all of the hot food right at 2:30 p.m. Meaning in the 2 or possibly 3 minutes between when I took those pizza and pasta videos for you and when I went to get a coffee, all of the hot food was completely gone. When I asked if I could still maybe get some of the hot food that they had taken away, the answer was a very short no with absolutely no room for discussion. So if you show up to this lounge after 2:29:59, know that this is about what you're going to be able to eat here. It's still pretty good, but it's not pizza or pasta. Well, I can't say that that was necessarily 100% the lounge experience that I'd hoped to have, but it was a lounge experience nonetheless, and I'm pretty full. I had a cold lunch, but it's just about time to board my flight over to Tunis. So today my gate will be gate E8 down here in the basement. And boarding started here pretty quickly, but it does mean taking a bus ride rather than walking down a jet bridge. And for this flight, I didn't pay for any particular seats, but I was able to choose some for free. But as I looked at the seating chart right before boarding, the flight was about a third empty, so I just quickly asked the kind gate agent if she wouldn't mind changing my wife and I's seat to a whole row, A and C, a little bit closer to the front. And while those seats normally would have been charged, she just let me change to them for free. So that's nice. And I did have Zone 1 written on my ticket, which meant I was literally the first to board this bus, actually. So I was super lucky to be the one that got first dibs on the perfect window spot for a view of what at this point I thought must have been every single narrow-body aircraft at Rome Fiumicino Airport. But no, there were more, and more, and more. And it seems like we might actually just be driving over to the boat to Tunis today. Just kidding. After about 10 minutes, we've made it over to the aircraft. And at a rather slow pace, I made my way back to the front of the economy class where my window seat would be for the day. So, on my way, I passed by the so-called business class seats, which, like pretty much all business class seats in Europe, are just economy class seats with the middle seat blocked off. And about 10 minutes after I boarded, the second bus came, and now, maybe a little under 20 minutes later, the aircraft's all boarded, and it seems like we're just about ready for departure. But this legroom, we've got to talk about this legroom. Now, for the most part, as far as I can tell, these A320s are used on like 1, 2, maybe 3-hour flights. A lot of the domestic Italian flights have basically the same airplane. But the legroom in this, what you could call an upgraded or paid row that I'm sitting in, is just, it's incredibly small for a full-service airline like this. It feels like I'm on a low-cost carrier, to be honest. Just the amount of room that my legs have. Of course, this isn't the case at all for every row. For example, the emergency exit rows seem to have pretty nice legroom, and some of the other ones towards the front did as well. So while it's not the worst legroom situation I've ever encountered in my life or anything like that, it's less than ideal. And to be honest, really nothing about this experience so far is really very different from flying like EasyJet out of Fiumicino if you have priority pass to access the lounge, and even priority security screening is possible when you have certain American Express cards there. But I've only just gotten on board, and there is a whole in-flight experience ahead of me, so let's see what it's like. And other than that, we have pushed back and we're now headed out to our takeoff runway. It's a pretty nice day over here in Rome, albeit a little bit cloudy. But this is definitely one of my preferred airports when it comes to landing and taking off. There's just always some nice views to be had between the sea, mountains in the distance, and all that kind of beautiful Italian stuff. So, here we are pulling up to our takeoff runway, and let's take in some of these beautiful Italian views. And coincidentally, today's flight path flies right over where I was actually just hanging out just a few hours ago in the smaller city near Rome, known as Fiumicino, just like the airport. It was my first time ever visiting Fiumicino, but you can get some really beautiful views of aircraft taking off, and it's a really nice place where you see the sea meet the river Tiber. And I've got to say, more often than not, when I'm talking to people about visiting Rome and the surrounding Lazio area, people don't even consider the fact that Rome has really beautiful black sand beaches right nearby, and quite a few very interesting towns. Plus, if you had, say, like a 5 or 6 hour layover or something at Fiumicino Airport, and you just wanted to get out of the airport and check out something, then Fiumicino or one of the other towns along the coast are just much closer to the airport, to be honest. I mean, there's a couple bus routes going from the airport that will just take you over there that you could use, or you could like hop in an Uber or take a taxi or that kind of stuff. But anyway, regardless of Fiumicino presenting perhaps one too many shopping opportunities, and some of the lounges maybe being slightly disappointing, I would say during my layovers at Fiumicino, I've always more or less enjoyed my experience, and the ability to get out of the airport to somewhere nearby, even when you have a kind of short layover, is ideal. But anyway, we've hit 10,000 feet now. Not quite cruising altitude yet, but they have kept the seatbelt sign on, and it turns out our flight time will be a solid 50 minutes, so super short. But what can I say? Not that much legroom, but I do have this empty seat, which is very nice of the gate agent to let me and my wife have. And then the views today are very pretty. Got a nice blanket of white clouds there. I think probably the main thing that does differentiate this flight from one aboard a low-cost carrier such as EasyJet or maybe even Ryanair or Wizz Air or something is that you get a little bit of onboard service. Just to be very clear, the staff on this flight have definitely been very kind, although there are only 2 of them working the entire economy class that seats, you know, well over 100 people, quite a few people. But for such a short flight like this, it's nice that they have some kind of service, I guess. You could get a salty snack like I did, or you could get a sweet snack that had the word cannolo in it, actually. It just looked like a stick with chocolate inside, but if you know cannoli, maybe you speak English and you're familiar with what's called cannoli often, that's the plural for cannolo, the beautiful Sicilian treat filled with ricotta cheese and sugar and stuff like that. But I must say that coffee is straight up instant coffee. Doesn't taste very good at all. And they hand out this powdered milk stuff. I'm a coffee snob, I'm just not a fan of that stuff. But again, service on a around 50-minute flight. It's nice that they have it, I guess. These things look suspiciously similar to Fritos. I don't know what this is about, Croc Canyon. But the other thing that I thought might be able to differentiate this flight from at least some low-cost carriers would be if there were Wi-Fi. But, you know, even though in an announcement I had heard that they said there would be, there's just no Wi-Fi network showing up. So I guess that means there's no Wi-Fi on this older Airbus 320. Before even being able to finish my coffee, though, we've already started our descent down into Tunis. So it's a pretty quick flight, 50 minutes. And there's definitely a limit to what you can say about an airline based on a flight like this. But being my very first time flying ITA, or as I've learned in Italian, it's called ITA, I'm not really sure that I'd go out of my way to fly this airline again on any route. I mean, if it were on like a domestic route that basically only ITA operates, then sure, I would fly them again. But in terms of long haul or even really medium haul or short haul flights around Europe, I mean, I will point out that I've seen some good reviews of their long haul business class, albeit kind of mixed, some of them not so good too. But I don't really think that they have anything particularly unique or better to offer than really any of the other legacy carriers flying around in Europe, and especially not better than like other carriers in their own alliance such as KLM or Air France. But hold up, you definitely did hear me right. When I filmed this video, ITA Airways was definitely still a member of the SkyTeam alliance. Just days after I took this flight though, the airline abruptly, basically without warning, announced that they would be leaving the alliance. In fact, even going back to Alitalia and their bankruptcy, and then the following basically what was a re-resurrection of that Italian airline into ITA Airways, it took years for them to even sort of properly integrate within the SkyTeam systems. So when the announcement came that they were going to abruptly leave an airline alliance without having even secured membership in another, let's just say that's not a very good sign for any business. So as it lies now, ITA's made some kind of strange agreements with some of the prior SkyTeam partners and is supposedly set to soon join the Star Alliance along with the ranks of Lufthansa, Swiss, and Austrian. I just can't say this is an airline that I trust very much when they do something like that. So outside of any particular details in this review, that's probably not a very good sign for ITA Airways going forward. And basically the main reason that I hadn't chosen to fly them until now, despite even holding their status, is just the fact that their fares are often more expensive than competing airlines, which it turns out might actually offer a better experience. For this ITA flight, I paid right around 93 euros or approximately 96 US dollars, depending on the day. And really, the only reason that I'm taking this flight is that maybe a month or two ago, ITA sent around emails to everybody that holds status and said, if you want to keep your status for another year for free, then all you've got to do is take one flight on any route with us. So that's really the only reason I'm on board here today. Well, fine, that and the fact that I've always really wanted to go check out Tunisia. I finally do get the chance to do that. But outside of like getting a really extraordinary deal to fly ITA Airways, I can't say I'd like completely recommend them based on my experience today with them on the ground and in the air. I'm certainly not going to be going out of my way to fly them anytime soon, at least. I mean, yeah, Lufthansa did just acquire a pretty large stake in the company, so I guess things will change, but possibly not for the better here either, so definitely keep your eyes on developments there. And maybe when things do change, I'll give them another try. Or if I do happen to just find a great business class deal or something. Like I said, I'm not ruling them out completely, and I'm not telling you like not to fly them, they're horrible or anything like that. But considering the airlines they compete with, I'm just not seeing any real reason to choose ITA over a lot of the other options that you have. But anyway, as we begin our final descent into Tunis and I head to a new country that I've never been to before, if you enjoyed this or found it useful or whatever, any of that kind of stuff, then do make sure to give it a like. But really, giving it a like does help get this video to as many people as possible. And let's face it, there really is tons of paid marketing out there, basically for any airline. So I think it's really, really important to make sure that people looking to fly an airline and understand what kind of experience they're going to purchase do see videos like this that are unbiased. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video.